Absolutely. No, and that's very important to mention. A lot of Muslim Arabs will always make the argument that Western intervention destabilized the Middle East, which for the most part is absolutely true. But you do have to kind of point the finger at ourselves here. There does seem to be some infighting in the Middle East regarding control and influence. And that's because these guys are running out of natural resources that have kept them so delightfully paid for the last 20 years now. I mean, if you look at Dubai and the Gulf in general, from the 80s to 2005, even the changes, there's
It's
no words
drastic.
for it.
It's drastic.
From desert and camel and tents to a skyscraper in the world. So it's ridiculous. But the reason why this is all kind of relevant here to the Iran situation, and I can tie it together, is because it seems that the region is trying its best to stabilize, and UAE is losing influence. So the UAE kind of lost here in Libya because Gaddafi was the guy that the UAE was banking on to take control. They had their interest in him and they were funding him. Him being undermined and some people may point to it being Saudi Arabia. It's too vague now. I don't like to be conspiracy theorists. And so we need more evidence before I can even make that conclusion. But it's obvious that the guy was undermined and there were financial motivations behind it. Who knows what was behind it? But, one can make the inference that it was Saudi Arabia. Regardless, if this war takes place and it happens, let's say in the next 2 days or 3 days, what we will see is probably a continued escalation of different assassinations across the Middle East potentially, and even more tensions arising in this region. Why? Saudi Arabia and the UAE and these other countries that are kind of shadowy like Turkey and Qatar that get involved but they don't put their name behind it, or at least it's not as obvious, their proxy groups and their funding is going to cease because they're going to have to stabilize on the ground in their countries and put money into national security because Iran is probably going to go crazy and attack any country that poses a slightest threat to them. What this will do is open up the region. So Sudan may see a big difference. Libya is going to see a huge difference, and Yemen, the biggest one, is going to see a very large difference. Why? Saudi Arabia is going to pull its funding probably from the core central government in Yemen, and the Houthis are probably going to lose a little bit of support from Iran as well because they're going to be busy fighting in the United States. And so you're going to see a really big turnout of civil war, civil unrest in Yemen. And the problem here is this Iranian-US conflict is going to further destabilize the Middle East, not even because these countries are going to get involved, because the small amount of effort that's been put into stabilizing these countries via proxies, via other resources and efforts are now all going to be directed towards in Iran, and what little headway or little steam or momentum that we had going towards repairing the Middle East, like these countries like Sudan, like Libya, and all across really the entire Middle East, is going to be all for nothing. And the main focus is going to be this huge war between two somewhat nuclear powers, being the nuclear power and Iran being everything but that, and they're almost at a nuclear weapon. So that's really important to understand. If war breaks out with Iran, everything in the Middle East reprioritizes overnight. Saudi Arabia gets pulled into deeper U.S. security stack. United Arab Emirates pulled deeper into the security stack with the U.S. and because they have an access and a security contract, and proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis lighten up in Yemen, Lebanon, and the Red Sea. So Saudi pulls back from these proxy wars while the UAE loses its protection umbrella. That opens space for Saudi to replace Emirati influence in places like Sudan, Somalia, and Libya. Meanwhile, even Turkey may exploit some of this opening and expand its footprint too. So the bottom line here is this: an Iran war forces Saudi into statesman mode, and the UAE goes kind of into bunker mode. So this is going to hurt the United Arab Emirates, and this is going to help Saudi Arabia. But there's also a con for Saudi Arabia. It's going to really hurt their tourism, which is pushing very hard. Mohammed bin Salman being the one who proposed the Vision 2030 that he had to push back, in this whole futuristic city, the line, and this whole thing like that. That's going to get pushed back as well. So this war has catastrophic shockwave effect across the entire Middle East, and that's going to directly affect the United States because we have to make sure that we're still capitalizing from a capitalistic perspective in the Middle East, making our money, getting our deals with Saudi Arabia, which has been weakening over time, and making sure that we can be the main beneficiary and have strong relationships with these countries that have geostrategic positions in places like the Strait of Hormuz and so on and so forth. So this is just, again, kind of the same redundant message, but a very certain small country in the Middle East is pulling us into an issue that a lot of Americans are going to feel. Oil prices are going to be very volatile.
If you enjoy my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to create clips like these fast, try Opus Clips. It's smart, simple, and built for creators.